Welcome back, everybody, to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. Again, it's October 7th, 2017. We're coming up on our last 27 minutes of the show. And in this segment, I don't have an interview, really. I just going to tell you some of my thoughts. And basically, I was thinking about preparedness. And I'll tell you why I was thinking about preparedness when I was preparing for the show. It had to do with Vegas, the Las Vegas shooting. And I was just watching everybody, and I'm saying, how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare? There's ways to prepare. Don't misunderstand it. For example, if you're in that large crowd, you always want to know where your exits are. You want to know. You want to get a good glance at the things around you, just to get a good idea of what's happening. For example, if I'm in a restaurant, I usually pick the seat that's to the wall. I want to observe my entry points, my windows, who's in there, who the help is. Is there anybody strange in there looking at? I'm kind of concerned about things of that nature. So there's always ways to prepare, and I was doing that based on the Las Vegas shooting. Looking at the footage of people just standing there and then falling down to the ground, just waiting to be shot. So there's definitely things you can do, but I'm sure it's limited when you're de-armed. And even if you were armed, there wasn't really anything you could do. So the 7 stages of preparedness is based on my life. But let me go over something here. I had a red pill moment in 2006. And until that point, I was consuming blue pills. And for me, blue pills were idealism, purism, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Remember that commercial? Serve your country blindly. The news speaks the truth, the facts, etc., etc. So before I go any further, I want to make sure you all understand blue pill, red pill. Because Janae and I were discussing, is it the red pill or is it the blue pill? Which one is it? So Trey, talk to us and tell us where that concept comes from, the movie, and tell everybody so we're up to speed here.
All right, so there's several years back, and by several years I mean like 15, 16, 17 years back, there's a movie that came out, and it's a fairly popular movie called The Matrix. Now, the whole concept behind this movie was all of reality that people saw was actually not real. It was in their heads. And there were a group of people that were outside of it. They had figured out, and they could get in and out of this sort of dream world. But when they would find someone they felt could help them with their struggle, they would offer them a blue pill and a red pill. With the blue pill, they stayed in the dream. Everything seemed normal. Everything was fine. They took the red pill, and they got to look behind the curtain, so to speak. If you remember your Wizard of Oz, you know, you saw the wizard, his big head floating, right? But if you look behind the curtain, you saw the real story, what was really going on behind the scenes. And that's kind of what Matt's talking about. You take that red pill, start learning what's might actually be going on behind the scenes, not what we're being fed or being led to believe.
Now, there's a difference, everybody, because I was there too. You live in this idealism, this purism type of lifestyle, thinking of the way it's supposed to be. But when somebody presents it to you that it's not that way, in a very good, precise manner, somebody you trust, and you refuse to search it out yourself, then, you're just lost. Who wants to be led by others? Who wants their life dictated by others? I guess the weak do. I don't know. But anyway, my red pill moment came to me when I watched the Zapruder film of President Kennedy being shot and all the other footage they conveniently didn't promote because it shows the contradiction of a one-shooter scenario. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. He was not shot by one shooter. You can say what you want. You can say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. I see it. When you get shot in the chest, you clench your hands to the front. When you get shot and your head blows off from the rear or the side, you can tell bullet trajectories, okay? And I'm not going to get into it here. I guess I could, but I'm not going to. But as the red pill went through my system, I just realized how behind the curve I was when it came to being ready for life in general. I don't trust the government to be there for me when calamity hits. I don't. I've seen it up there in New York when a hurricane hit up there and people were screaming, why aren't you coming to help me? Why aren't you coming to help me? Well, get off your duff and do something about it. So with that, let me tell you about my red pill moment and what happened here. And I got the 7 stages of preparedness. And if you can call in if you want, 254-697-6633. And Trey and Janae, you just chime in when you're ready. But here are the 7 stages of preparedness. And this is my life. You may do something else. You may have a 1A or a 2B or a 3C. I don't know. But here we go. Stage number 1 is ignorance. Lack of knowledge or information. I was in idealism, purism, thinking this is the way it is. My life was dictated by how I was raised. That's a good way to be raised. With good, pure thoughts and love of country and all this kind of stuff. But if you're ignorant to what's really happening behind the curtain, it can cause problems. So which brings us to stage number 2 in my life. Realization. That's an act of becoming fully aware of something as a fact. So when I'm doing my homework in my research and all of a sudden I see things and I swallow that red pill, oh my gosh, the world opened up, the curtain was drawn back and I saw what was really happening. It's all a lie. A manipulation, a perversion of how it's supposed to be. And because of that, I go to stage 3. Stage 3 is panic. Sudden uncomfortable fear or anxiety, often causing wildly unthinkable behavior. Once I realized how far behind the curve I was of preparedness, I freaked out. I go, oh my gosh, I see the world, the curtain's drawn back, I see the world for how it is. It's all a sham. Nobody's going to help me but me. And so there I go. I'm just doing what it takes to get ready. And because of that, stage 4 comes. Burnout. Physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. I was going so fast, so hard, so strong, so one-minded on getting prepared, I burned out. And you know what happens when you burn out? You just don't care anymore. You're wasted. Your brain is drained, okay? Which brings you to the next stage, and that's recovery. Recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. So I sit back after saying I got to take a break from all this stuff. I sit back, and I'm like, okay, I got my strength back up, my brain's recouped, the whole works. And then I reevaluate it and go to number 6, stage 6 of preparedness, and that's modify. Make partial or minor changes to something, typically so as to improve it or make it less extreme. So here I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm way behind the curve. I've burned out in the process of getting prepared. I finally recovered. I said, okay, look, it still exists. The guy behind the curtain is still there. The lies are still being said. I understand it now, but I know how to handle it better. So I'm going to modify it and adjust it, which brings me to stage 7, and that's maintain. Cause or enable a condition of state of affairs to continue. Matt's 7 stages of preparedness is ignorance, realization, panic, burnout, recovery, modify, and maintain. So where are you on the list? Where are you on the stages of preparedness? Trey, Janae, what do you think about that?
Well, honestly, I feel like at this point, I remember being a kid and just being ignorant to everything going on in the world. And I think my moment was 9/11 for me, what happened in 2001. And of course, all these theories came out about how it was the government that was behind these towers, because if you have a tower completely made of steel, how is one object going to cause a complete collapse of 2 towers, right? So that was kind of my moment, being in 2nd grade at this point, saying, okay, something's not quite right here.
Wow.
These theories can't just come out of left field, right? Is that just me, or... I know I'm going to get a lot of gripe for this, but
you're going to get gripe about this because you just made me realize how old I am. Oh my gosh! Oh man!
I think I feel like one day.
Wow. Okay, keep going.
But it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm at the burnout stage, where I'm seeing the constant news stories where I'm just over it, where it's the constant backlash and believing that your news sources are there to protect you and feeling that they're really not.
Nope.
Just knowing that you have your set amount of knowledge and there's nothing in the world that can change that for you. At this point.
You know how we know that the mainstream media is full of it with an agenda? You know how we know? It's because cell phones. It's because I got eyes and I got ears and I see the event happening and I hear the event happen. I hear what the people say And then all of a sudden you put this swing on it for an agenda. I say, that's not the context that he had it in or she had it in. That's not what happened. Why aren't you showing this? Like on the Kennedy assassination, you're only going to show the Zapruder film that people say, oh, there it is. No, you didn't see all the other films, like the motorcycle cop running to the grassy knoll with hundreds of people following him to stand up on the wall and say, there he goes, or where's he going? How do we get to him? You don't see that. And when you see it, you go, hey, wait a minute here. I thought it was just the guy up there in the book depository.
Well, Matt, you and I have discussed this several times. Another way is the fact that you look at all of the different major media outlets. You got your television news, Fox, CNN, CBS, CNBC, ABC. Then you've got your major newspapers. You've got your major news magazines. They're all owned by, one of like 4 or 5 different companies.
Right.
And that's it.
And they're all producing the same exact stuff.
I'm going to slaughter these statistics, but it says about 90% of all media is owned by about 6 or 7 large families or corporations, and they're all into the same like-mind thinking. So that's why you hear the same stuff coming from everybody at the same time.
And it's why you always have the ones that seem like they're at odds are always at odds on the same exact subjects in the same exact way.
Right.
It's one puppeteer, 2 puppets, same puppeteer, and if you don't like this guy, they're going to sway you over to this guy, which is doing the same thing. They're going in the same direction.
If I could interject, like with me, I'm from Houston, of course, so I'm in the middle of Hurricane Harvey and all of the things going on, and watching all of this news coverage and looking at all the footage and realizing that what is put out in the media was not the same exact thing going on in Houston. Granted, it was a lot of damage.
Yes.
But not to the extent that the media was conveying. I mean, you did have people flooded out of their homes. You did have plenty of people in shelters.
Here's a perfect example. I'm not taking anything away from what the hurricane did. Don't get me wrong. But the media, here's a perfect example. They get flat-bottom boats. Mm-hmm. There's a person sitting in the boat because they can't make it out of the area. And the guy pulling the boat is in calf-deep water.
Right.
I'm like, give me a break.
Right.
Man. Give me a break.
And,
Get off your
and
butt
like you
and
said,
walk out.
that's not an excuse to take anything away from a catastrophic event. But at the same time, guys, I mean, come on. They're selling on fear at this point.
People are willing to do some of the rescuing of themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my good mentor was out with her rescue boat, or with her boat, rescuing those who were in houses that hadn't been flooded quite yet, but they were in danger of being flooded.
Now, I've seen cell phone footage of people helping people, and they put it on the internet,
Yes,
and you say,
absolutely.
hey, that's genuine compassion and help for someone. But when they do it where somebody's in a flat-bottom boat and the camera's on it and they're in calf-deep water, I mean, they're just trying to sell a product.
Yeah, and it also gets to the point, like I said, they're capitalizing on the fear. And they're trying to promote people to get prepared. And as I've always seen it, you are either prepared or you're prepared to fail. So it's one or the other. You can't call yourself prepared and then start panicking when everything else happens.
And it's that word right there is what they bank on. Panic.
Yes.
Because when you panic, we talked earlier about flight, fight, or freeze. Mm-hmm. That's what they're banking on, that panic. Because most people are going to freeze or fly. They're going away. And they want to focus on that. And the more they can encourage that.
Yeah, the more they can sell it.
You're right. This is getting way serious.
The more they can sell it, yes.
I got good news for you, though, Janae. You said your burnout. After burnout comes recovery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So that's the good part.
All right. I mean, you can look at that, all sorts of things that's going on in the news. It's just, you got to take your pill. Take your red pill. If you take your red pill, then you can prepare yourself for the stuff that's coming up. You can be prepared in advance. If you're in the blue pill, government's going to take care of me.
The whole point, the whole key to the red pill, though, do your own research.
Oh my God, yes.
You got one source research is not research. One source research is not research.
Even with
if you're using major news outlets,
I'd check multiple.
Read some
definitely.
blogs, read some online news, check out, compare the stories you get. Okay, learn to think for yourself and figure out what's evidence and what's opinion. Mm-hmm. Learn to parse through that and separate it. Otherwise, you're not doing yourself any good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think, Trey, what we're going to do, let's take a couple minute break. But the 7 stages of preparedness, once again, was ignorance, realization, panic, burnout, recovery, modify, and maintain. And so take your red pills. I guarantee if you take your pill, you'll feel better. And you may have sorrow because you know. What's that verse in the Bible that you like, Trey?
He who increases knowledge increases sorrow.
Explain it.
The more you know, the less happy you are with, and less satisfied you are with the way things are.
But you have the ability to change it.
That's the first step to changing it.
There you go. All right, let's take a break. Let's take a 2 or 3 minute break, and we'll be back on the other side.